Have you ever noticed that specific, freezing moment in a conversation when the air suddenly changes and the person across from you realizes their usual tricks aren't landing? It is a quiet, almost surgical realization that their power over you has finally evaporated. Today, we are going deep into that specific silence. We are exploring what happens when the mask cracks for good and the narcissist stands at the edge of the unavoidable end. I want you to take a breath and really sit with me for a second, because I know how heavy this has been for you. You have spent months, maybe even years, trying to navigate a maze that was designed to keep you lost. But something has shifted inside of you, hasn't it? You are seeing the patterns now, and once you see them, you can never unsee them. It is the beginning of your freedom and the start of their greatest nightmare. Think back to all those times you felt like you were losing your mind, questioning your own reality just to keep the peace. You were dealing with a master of emotional stagecraft, someone who used your empathy as a weapon against you. But manipulation is a finite resource. It requires a willing participant to actually function. When you stop playing your assigned role, the entire production begins to crumble in real time. You might have felt a strange sense of guilt lately, as if by standing your ground, you are somehow being the bad guy. That is exactly what they want you to feel. It is their last-ditch effort to pull you back into the cycle. But look closely at their eyes next time they try. There is a new flicker there now, not of power, but of a very specific, cold kind of panic. They know the old scripts aren't working anymore. We often talk about the narcissist as this all-powerful shadow figure, but the truth is far more pathetic and fragile. They are essentially a broken software loop, repeating the same lines of code until the system crashes. When you stop responding to the bait, you aren't just winning an argument, you are literally breaking their world. It is the moment the predator realizes the cage door is locked from the outside. This isn't just about a breakup or a fallout. It is about the death of an illusion. You were the mirror they used to see a version of themselves that didn't actually exist. Now that the mirror is broken, they are forced to look at the void left behind. It is a terrifying prospect for someone who has spent their entire life running from their own insignificance. They are standing on the brink of a collapse they cannot fix. You see, a narcissist's life is built on a foundation of supplies. People like you who provide the validation, the drama, and the energy they can't generate themselves. When that supply dries up, it's like a city losing power during a storm. The lights go out, the heat fades, and the infrastructure begins to fail. They are left in the dark, and for the first time, they realize that you were the one holding the torch. I want to prepare you for what is coming, because this phase is often the most volatile. It is the extinction burst, the final explosion of behavior intended to get a reaction, any reaction, out of you. They will try the tears, the rage, the hoovering, and the threats. But none of it matters if you recognize it for what it is. A desperate performance by a lead actor who realizes the theater is empty and the lights are fading. It feels lonely at first, standing in that truth while they scream or plead. You might feel an urge to fix it, to go back to the good times that were never really real. But that is the trauma bond speaking, not your soul. Your soul knows that the unavoidable end is actually a door opening. You are finally stepping out of the fog and into the sunlight, leaving them behind to deal with the shadows they created. So, let's pull back the curtain and look at the gears behind the machine. We are going to deconstruct exactly why they fall apart when they can no longer control you. This is the secret knowledge that they never wanted you to have. Because once you understand the mechanics of their failure, you become truly untouchable. Let's look at the psychological breakdown of a narcissist who has finally run out of moves to play. A narcissist's mind is like a house of cards built on a windy beach. They spend every waking moment shielding it, making sure no one sees how flimsy the structure really is. Manipulation isn't just a choice for them, it is a survival mechanism. It is the glue that keeps the cards from flying away. When you stop providing that glue, the wind starts to take over, and they can feel the entire structure beginning to tilt. They don't see you as a person with your own needs, dreams, or boundaries. To them, you are more like a sophisticated appliance, a microwave or a fridge that is supposed to perform a specific function on command. When the appliance stops working, they don't feel sad for the appliance. They feel inconvenienced and frustrated. This lack of empathy is why their reactions seem so cold and robotic when things finally go south. Imagine living your entire life behind a mask that you are terrified will slip. That is their daily reality. They have no core self, no internal compass that tells them they are okay, without external praise. Everything they do is a performance for an audience of one, themselves. When you stop clapping, the performance loses its meaning, and they are left staring into a vacuum. It is a psychological vacuum that they cannot fill. Their internal world is a chaotic storm of shame and self-loathing that they have buried deep under layers of grandiosity. Manipulation is the tool they use to keep that shame at bay. By making you feel small, they can feel big. By making you feel crazy, they can feel sane. It is a zero-sum game where they must win for you to lose. But when you refuse to play the game, the shame they were dumping on you starts to leak back. You might have noticed that they often project their own faults onto you. If they are lying, they call you a liar. If they are cheating, they accuse you of being unfaithful. This isn't just a tactic, it is a psychological necessity. They cannot process their own darkness, so they hand it to you to carry. When you set that heavy bag down and walk away, they are forced to hold it themselves. It is a weight they are not built to carry. Let's talk about the false self versus the true self. The person you fell in love with was a carefully crafted avatar designed to mirror your own best qualities back to you. It was a beautiful lie. But underneath that avatar is a stunted, wounded child who never learned how to connect with others in a healthy way. When manipulation fails, the avatar dissolves, and you are left facing that bitter, vengeful child for the first time. They are addicted to narcissistic supply, in the same way someone might be addicted to a drug. It is a physiological need for them. Without it, they experience a form of withdrawal that manifests as intense irritability, depression, or explosive rage. They aren't just angry that you won't do what they want. They are literally starving for the validation they feel entitled to. It is a hunger that can never, ever be truly satisfied. Most people think narcissists are confident, but the opposite is true. They have the most fragile egos on the planet. A single no or a tiny bit of criticism feels like a mortal wound to them. This is why they react so disproportionately to your boundaries. To you, it's a boundary. To them, it's an act of war. They cannot comprehend a world where they are not the central protagonist who gets to dictate the script for everyone else. Think of their manipulation as a set of keys. They have a key for your guilt, a key for your fear, and a key for your desire to be loved. They have spent the entire relationship testing which key turns the lock. But eventually, you changed the locks. You grew, you healed, and you learned their game. Now, they are standing at the door, frantically trying every key in their pocket, and none of them turn. The panic is starting to set in. This is the moment of the psychological pivot. They realize that their greatest weapon, their influence over your emotions, has been neutralized. It is a terrifying realization for them because control was the only thing they ever had. Without control, they are nothing. They are just a person in a room, unable to make the world bend to their will. And that is when the behavior starts to get truly desperate and remarkably transparent. The shift usually begins with a silence that feels different than before. Usually, their silence is a punishment, a way to make you beg for their attention. But this time, the silence belongs to you. You aren't asking what's wrong, or how can I fix this? You are just there, observing, not reacting. This is the moment the power dynamic flips on its head. You have become the observer, and they have become the specimen. I remember a client who described it as a light switch being flipped in a dark room. One day, she looked at her partner's typical tantrum and didn't feel fear, she felt bored. That boredom is the ultimate kryptonite for a narcissist. They can handle your anger, your tears, and even your hatred, because those are all forms of engagement. But your indifference? Your indifference is the one thing that can actually destroy their mask. Watch how they react when they realize they've lost their grip. They will often cycle through their greatest hits at lightning speed. First comes the charm, the love bombing you haven't seen in years. Then comes the victimhood, the sudden illness or crisis that only you can help with. When that fails, the rage appears. It is a chaotic, messy attempt to find any crack in your armor. They are looking for a way back in. It's like watching a magician whose tricks have been exposed. The smoke and mirrors are still there, but you can see the strings now. You can see where the rabbit is hidden. When they try to pull the same old stunt, you just watch them with a calm, steady gaze. No words are even necessary. The fact that you are not falling for it is the loudest statement you could ever make. You are signaling that the era of their rule is over. This is the stage where they might start to gaslight themselves. They will try to convince themselves that they don't even want you anyway, or that they were the ones who decided to end things. It is a desperate attempt to save face and maintain the illusion of being in charge. But deep down, they know the truth. They know they were outsmarted by your clarity and outlasted by your patience. The ending is now unavoidable. Have you noticed how they suddenly become very interested in what other people think of you? This is the smear campaign starting. Because they can no longer control how you see them, they pivot to controlling how others see you. They want to isolate you, to make you feel like the world is closing in. But here is the secret. Anyone who believes their lies without hearing your side isn't someone you need in your life anyway. There is a specific kind of word salad they use during this turning point. They will talk in circles, bringing up things you did 10 years ago, changing the subject, and making wild accusations. It is a verbal fog machine designed to make you lose your footing. But because you are grounded in your own reality now, the fog just drifts past you. You are no longer trying to make sense of the nonsense. You are just watching it fail. The narcissist's greatest fear is being found out. Not just by you, but by themselves. As long as they could manipulate you, they could believe their own lie. But your refusal to play along acts as a giant spotlight shining directly on their true nature. They are scrambling to find a shadow to hide in, but the room is getting brighter by the minute. The shift in power is complete, and they are starting to feel very, very small. You might notice them looking for new supply almost immediately. This isn't because they moved on, it's because they are drowning and they need a new life raft. They cannot exist in the void of their own company for even a few days. Seeing them move on so quickly can hurt, but try to see it for what it is, a confession of their own inadequacy. They are simply moving their broken theater to a new audience who hasn't seen the show yet. So here you are, standing in the rubble of the relationship, but you aren't the one who is broken. The structure of the lie is what collapsed. You are still standing, more solid than you have been in a long time. The narcissist is the one wandering through the wreckage, trying to find something to salvage. But there is nothing left to take from you. You have taken your energy back, and without it, their world is ending. When the collapse finally hits, it isn't always loud. Sometimes, it is a chillingly quiet withdrawal. They might disappear for days, hoping the silent treatment will break you one last time. But when they come back and find that you haven't moved an inch, the reality of their loss finally sinks in. They have officially lost their most valuable player, and they have no idea how to rebuild the team without your constant effort. The consequences for the narcissist are internal and devastating. They are forced to live with the person they have become, a person who burns every bridge and poisons every well. They might surround themselves with flying monkeys and sycophants, but in the middle of the night, they know those people don't really know them. They are more alone in a crowded room than you are when you are by yourself. It is a self-inflicted prison. They will often experience what we call a narcissistic collapse. This is a state of total psychological breakdown where they can no longer maintain any facade of being okay. They might become paranoid, lash out at everyone around them, or spiral into a deep, dark depression. It is the natural consequence of building a life on a foundation of lies. Eventually, the weight of the truth becomes too much for the lies to support. You will see them try to rewrite history one last time. They will tell anyone who listens that you were the abusive one, that you were the one who wouldn't listen, and that they tried everything to save the relationship. It is a pathetic attempt to gather pity, the only currency they have left. But those who truly know you will see through the performance. The mask has been off for too long, and the true face is starting to show. The most tragic consequence for them is that they never actually learn. Even in the middle of the collapse, they are looking for someone else to blame. They will blame the economy, their childhood, their boss, and especially you. They are incapable of the one thing that could actually save them: genuine self-reflection. They would rather drown in their own bitterness than admit they were the ones who steered the ship into the rocks. You might feel a pang of pity for them during this phase. You might see the wounded child peeking through and want to reach out. But I am telling you, as a friend, do not go back into the burning building. They will use your pity as a handle to drag you back down into the fire with them. Their suffering is real, but it is a suffering they chose by refusing to be honest, kind, or humble. You cannot fix what they refuse to own. The end of manipulation is the beginning of their irrelevance. For a narcissist, being irrelevant is a fate worse than death. They want to be the hero or the villain, but they cannot stand being just some person you used to know. As you move forward and find happiness, your success becomes the ultimate punishment for them. Every smile on your face is a reminder that they didn't have the power to destroy you like they thought they did. Watch how their world starts to shrink. They lose friends, they lose family members, and they lose the respect of anyone who has seen behind the curtain. They are left with a revolving door of temporary acquaintances who eventually see the pattern and leave too. It is a cycle of abandonment that they create for themselves over and over again. They are the common denominator in every failed relationship and every ruined reputation. This is the stage where you realize that their power was always an illusion. They only had power because you gave it to them. They were like a vampire that could only enter your house if you invited them in. Once the invitation is revoked, they have no choice but to stay outside in the cold. They are standing on the brink of the unavoidable end, and for the first time in your life, you aren't the one trying to pull them back. Let the truth land. They are not your responsibility. Their collapse, their rage, and their loneliness are the harvest of the seeds they spent years planting. You are finally free of the burden of carrying their emotions for them. It is a heavy weight to set down, and you might feel a bit lightheaded at first. But that lightheadedness is the feeling of oxygen finally reaching your lungs again. You are alive, and they are just a memory. Now we come to the part that is actually about you. The healing process isn't just about getting away from the narcissist, it is about coming back to yourself. You have been living in a war zone for so long that peace might feel uncomfortable at first. You might even find yourself looking for the drama because your nervous system is so used to the chaos. But I want you to stay in the quiet. That is where your power is returning. You aren't damaged goods because of what you went through. You are a survivor who has been through a high-level psychological stress test and came out the other side with your soul intact. That is a massive achievement. The narcissist tried to take your light, but all they did was teach you how to protect it. You are now equipped with a level of discernment and strength that most people will never have to develop. Wear it like armor. There will be days when the what-ifs come back to haunt you. What if I had done more? What if I had said it differently? When those thoughts arise, I want you to remember this. You cannot use logic to talk someone out of a position they didn't use logic to get into. You were trying to solve a puzzle that had no solution because the pieces were never designed to fit together. You didn't fail. You simply realized the game was rigged. Forgiveness is a word that gets thrown around a lot, but let's be clear about what it means here. Forgiveness isn't about telling the narcissist that what they did was okay. It is about deciding that you are no longer going to carry the anger they gave you. It is about evicting them from the headspace they are still trying to rent for free. You forgive so that you can be light. You forgive so that you can finally be done with them. I want you to look at your reflection and see the person who survived. Look at the kindness in your eyes that they couldn't extinguish. Look at the resilience in your posture. You were the one who did the hard work. You were the one who faced the truth while they ran away from it. You are the hero of this story, not the victim. The unavoidable end for the narcissist is the unavoidable beginning for the version of you that is free. The road ahead won't always be easy, but it will be yours. No one is going to tell you how to feel today. No one is going to twist your words or make you feel small for having a boundary. You are the architect of your own peace now. Take your time building it. Surround yourself with people who see your value without you having to prove it every single day. You deserve a life that doesn't require a strategy just to get through. Think of the narcissist as a closed book. You've read every page, you know the ending, and there is no sequel coming. You can put that book on a high shelf and leave it there. It is part of your history, but it is not your identity. Your identity is something you are rediscovering every morning when you wake up and realize that the storm has finally passed. The birds are singing again, and the air is clear. You are safe now. As you move forward, you will notice that your intuition is sharper than ever. That gut feeling you ignored for so long? It is your best friend now. Trust it. It is the compass that will lead you to healthy relationships and genuine joy. You have earned this wisdom through fire, and it is the most valuable thing you own. Never let anyone talk you out of your own reality ever again. Your truth is your sanctuary and your power. This is the final truth. The narcissist never really had power over you. They only had the power you lent them because you believed in their potential. But now that you see them for who they truly are, that power has returned to its rightful owner. You are whole, you are capable, and you are worthy of a love that doesn't hurt. The end of their manipulation is not just a conclusion. It is the most beautiful liberation of your life. You can stop looking back now because there is nothing left for you in that rearview mirror but shadows and dust. The path in front of you is wide open, lit by the clarity of everything you have learned. You survived the impossible, and you did it with your heart still open to the world. You are finally, truly, and completely free to be exactly who you were always meant to be. The mask is gone, the game is over, and you won.